The Akita is a large spitz breed of dog originating from the mountainous northern regions of Japan. There are two separate varieties of Akita, a Japanese strain, known as the Akita Inu, or Japanese Akita, and an American strain, known as the Akita, or American Akita. The Japanese strain comes in a small choice of colors, with all other colors considered atypical of the breed, while the American strain comes in all dog colors. The Akita has a short double coat, similar to that of many other northern spitz breeds such as the Siberian Husky, but long-coated dogs can be found in many litters due to a recessive gene. The Akita is a powerful, independent and dominant breed, commonly aloof with strangers but affectionate with family members. As a breed, Akitas are generally hardy, but they have been known to suffer from various genetic conditions and be sensitive to certain drugs. In most countries, the American strain of Akita is now considered a separate breed. In the United States and Canada, however, the two strains are considered a single breed with differences in type. For a while, the American strain of Akita was known in some countries as the Great Japanese Dog. Both forms of Akita are probably best known worldwide from the true story of Hachika, a loyal Akita dog who lived in Japan before World War II. Breed name and related issues: American Akita, Akita or Akita Inu. There is debate among fanciers whether there are two separate breeds of Akita. To date, only the American Kennel Club and the Canadian Kennel Club consider American and Japanese Akitas to be two varieties of the same breed, allowing free breeding between the two. The Fédération Cynologique Internationale, the Kennel Club, the Australian National Kennel Council, the New Zealand Kennel Club, and the Japan Kennel Club consider Japanese and American Akitas as separate breeds. Some countries refer to the American Akita as simply the Akita, and not the American Akita. The issue is especially controversial in Japan. For the FCI's 84 countries, the breed split formally occurred June 1999, when the FCI decided that the American type would be called the Great Japanese Dog, later renamed the American Akita in January 2006. History: Japanese history. Japanese history, both verbal and written, describe the ancestors of the Akita, the Mitoji dog I1/4 Japanese, a Florinea registered trademark CSH 1/4 per mil, hunting dog, bear hunting dog, deer hunting dog, as one of the oldest of the native dogs. Today's Akita developed primarily from dogs in the northernmost region of the island of Honshu in the Akita prefecture, thus providing the breed's name. The Mitoji's quarry included wild boar, sika deer, and Asian black bear. This precursor dog tracked large game, holding it at bay until hunters arrived to make the kill. The breed is also influenced by crosses with larger breeds from Asia and Europe, including English Mastiffs, Great Danes, St. Bernards, and the Tosa Inu, in the desire to develop a fighting dog for the burgeoning dog fighting industry in a date in the early 20th century. During World War II, the Akita was also crossed with German Shepherd dogs in an attempt to save them from the wartime government order for all non-military dogs to be culled. The ancestors of the American Akita were originally a variety of the Japanese Akita, a form that was not desired in Japan due to the markings, and which is not eligible for show competition. The story of Hachika, one of the most revered Akitas of all time, helped push the Akita into the international dog world. Hachika was born in 1923 and owned by Professor Hidesaburo Ueno of Tokyo. Professor Ueno lived near the Shibuya train station in a suburb of the city and commuted to work every day on the train. Hachika accompanied his master to and from the station each day. On May 25, 1925, when the dog was 18 months old, he waited for his master's arrival on the 4 o'clock train, but Professor Ueno had suffered a fatal brain hemorrhage at work. Hachika continued to wait for his master's return. He traveled to and from the station each day for the next 9 years. He allowed the professor's relatives to care for him, but he never gave up the vigil at the station for his master. His vigil became world-renowned when, in 1934, shortly before his death, a bronze statue was erected at the Shibuya train station in his honor. This statue was melted down for munitions during the war and a new one was commissioned once the war ended. Each year on April 8 since 1936, Hachika's devotion has been honored with a solemn ceremony of remembrance at Tokyo's Shibuya Railroad Station. Eventually, Hachika's legendary faithfulness became a national symbol of loyalty, particularly to the person and institution of the emperor. In 1931, the Akita was officially declared a Japanese natural monument. The mayor of Odate City in Akita Prefecture organized the Akita Inu Hosenkai to preserve the original Akita as a Japanese natural treasure through careful breeding. In 1934 the first Japanese breed standard for the Akita Inu was listed, following the breed's declaration as a natural monument of Japan. In 1967, commemorating the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Akita Dog Preservation Society, the Akita Dog Museum was built to house information, documents and photos. In 1937, Helen Keller traveled to Japan. She expressed a keen interest in the breed and was presented with the first 2 Akitas to enter the U.S. The first dog, presented to her by Mr. Ogasawara and named Kamikaze Go, died at 5 months of age from distemper, 1 month after her return to the States. A second Akita was arranged to be sent to Miss Keller, Kamikaze's little brother, Kanzen Go. Kanzen Go died in the mid-1940s. By 1939 a breed standard had been established and dog shows had been held, but such activities stopped after World War II began. Keller wrote in the Akita Journal, just as the breed was stabilizing in its native land, World War II pushed the Akita to the brink of extinction. Early in the war the dogs suffered from lack of nutritious food. Then many were killed to be eaten by the starving populace, and their pelts were used as clothing. Finally, the government ordered all remaining dogs to be killed on site to prevent the spread of disease. The only way concerned owners could save their beloved Akitas was to turn them loose in remote mountain areas, where they bred back with their ancestor dogs, the Matoji, or conceal them from authorities by means of crossing with German Shepherd dogs, and naming them in the style of German Shepherd dogs at the time. Mari Sawawashi and his efforts to breed the Akita is a major reason this breed exists today. During the occupation years following the war, the breed began to thrive again through the efforts of Sawawashi and others. For the first time, Akitas were bred for a standardized appearance. Akita fanciers in Japan began gathering and exhibiting the remaining Akitas and producing litters in order to restore the breed to sustainable numbers and to accentuate the original characteristics of the breed mudded by crosses to other breeds. U.S. servicemen fell in love with the Akita and imported many with them upon their return. American history. The Japanese Akita and American Akita began to diverge in type during the post-Euro World War II era. It was during this time that U.S. servicemen serving as part of the occupation force in Japan first came into contact with the Akita. The breed so impressed them that many soldiers chose to bring an Akita back home with them upon completion of their tour. American soldiers were typically more impressed with the larger, more bear-like fighting Akita or German Shepherd type than they were with the smaller framed and fox-like Akita Inu. The types of dogs they brought back with them to the U.S. reflected this sentiment. Japanese Akita fanciers focused on restoring the breed as a work of Japanese art or to natural monument status. American Akita fanciers chose to breed larger, heavier-boned and more intimidating dogs. Although both types derive from a common ancestry, there are marked differences between the two. First, while American Akitas are acceptable in all colors, Japanese Akitas are only permitted to be red, fawn, sesame, white, or brindle. Additionally, American Akitas may be pinto and or have black masks, unlike Japanese Akitas where it is considered a disqualification and not permitted in the breed standards. American Akitas generally are heavier-boned and larger, with a more bear-like head, whereas Japanese Akitas tend to be lighter and more finely featured with a fox-like head. Recognized by the American Kennel Club in 1955, it was placed in the miscellaneous class. It wasn't until the end of 1972 that the AKC approved the Akita standard and it was moved to the working dog class. As such, the Akita is a rather new breed in the United States. Foundation stock in America continued to be imported from Japan until 1974 when the AKC cut off registration to any further Japanese imports until 1992 when it recognized the Japan Kennel Club. The decision by the AKC to disallow the registration of any further imported dogs in 1974, set the stage for the divergence in type between the American Akita and Japanese Akita Inu that is present today. Elsewhere in the world, the American Akita was first introduced to the UK in 1937. He was a Canadian import, owned by a Mrs. Jensen, however the breed was not widely known until the early 1980s. The breed was introduced in Australia in 1982 with an American import and to New Zealand in 1986 with an import from the UK. Description. Appearance. As a spitz breed, the appearance of the Akita reflects cold weather adaptations essential to their original function. The Akita is a substantial breed for its height with heavy bones. Characteristic physical traits of the breed include a large, bear-like head with erect, triangular ears set at a slight angle following the arch of the neck. Additionally, the eyes of the Akita are small, dark, deeply set and triangular in shape. Akitas have thick double coats, and tight, well-knuckled cat-like feet. Their tails are carried over the top of the back in a gentle or double curl down the loin. Mature American-type males measure typically 26–28 inches at the withers and weigh between 100–130 lb. Mature females typically measure 24–26 inches and weigh between 70–100 lb. The Japanese type, as stated in the breed standards, are a little smaller and lighter. Breed standards state that all dog breed coat colors are allowable in the American Akita, including pinto, all types of brindle, solid white, black mask, self-colored mask, even differing colors of undercoat and overlay. This includes the common Shiba Inu coloring pattern known as Urigero. The Japanese Akitas, as per the breed standards, are restricted to red, fawn, sesame, brindle, pure white, all with Urigero markings, that is, whitish coat on the sides of the muzzle, on the cheeks, on the underside of jaw, neck, chest, body and tail and on the inside of the legs. Coat types. There are two coat types in the Akita, the standard coat length and the long coat. The long coat is considered a fault in the show ring, however, they still make good pets. The long coat, also known as moku, is the result of an autosomal recessive gene and may only occur phenotypically if both sire and dam are carriers. They have longer and softer coats and are known to have sweeter temperaments. It is believed that this gene comes from the now extinct Carafutocenia csh. Temperament. It is territorial about its property, and can be reserved with strangers. It is feline in its actions. It is not unusual for an Akita to clean its face after eating, to preen its kennel mate, and to be fastidious in the house. They are known to be intolerant of other dogs of the same gender, as stated in the AKC breed standard. Since it is a large, powerful dog, the Akita is not considered a breed for a first-time dog owner. The breed has been targeted by some countries' breed-specific legislation as a dangerous dog. The Akita is a large, strong, independent and dominant dog. A dog with a correct Akita temperament should be accepting of non-threatening strangers, yet protective of their family when faced with a threatening situation. They are usually docile, aloof and calm in new situations. As a breed they should be good with children. It is said that the breed has an affinity for children. Not all Akitas, nor all dogs, will necessarily have the same temperament. The Akita was never bred to live or work in groups like many hound and sporting breeds. Instead, they lived and worked alone or in pairs, a preference reflected today. Akitas tend to take a socially dominant role with other dogs, and thus caution must be used in situations when Akitas are likely to be around other dogs, especially unfamiliar ones. In particular, Akitas tend to be less tolerant of dogs of the same sex. For this reason, Akitas, unless highly socialized, are not generally well suited for off-leash dog parks. The Akita is intelligent, courageous, fearless, and careful. Sometimes spontaneous, it needs a confident, consistent handler, without which the dog will be very willful and may become very aggressive to other dogs and animals. Health. Autoimmune diseases. There are many autoimmune diseases that are known to sometimes occur in the Akita. These include, but are not limited to, Vogt Koyanagi-Harada syndrome, also known as uveo-dermatologic syndrome, is an autoimmune condition which affects the skin and eyes. Autoimmune hemolytic anemia, which is an autoimmune blood disorder. Sebaceous adenitis is an autoimmune skin disorder believed to be of autosomal recessive inheritance. Pemphigus foliaceus is an autoimmune skin disorder, believed to be genetic. Systemic lupus erythematosus, also known as SLE or lupus, is a systemic autoimmune disease that can affect any part of the body. Immune-mediated endocrine diseases. In addition to these, there are also the immune-mediated endocrine diseases with a heritable factor, such as it is only Euro unregistered trademark S disease, also known as hypoadrenochromaticism. It affects the adrenal glands and is essentially the opposite to Cushing's syndrome. Cushing Euro unregistered trademark S syndrome, also known as hyperadrenochromaticism. It affects the adrenal glands and is caused by long-term exposure to high levels of glucocorticosteroids, either manufactured by the body or given as medications. Diabetes mellitus, also known as type 1 diabetes. It affects the pancreas. Hypothyroidism, also known as autoimmune hypothyroidism. This is an autoimmune disease which affects the thyroid gland. Non-immune specific conditions. Other non-immune specific conditions known to have occurred in the Akita include, gastric dilation is also known as bloat. May progressive to gastric dilation volvulus, in which the stomach twists on itself. Microphthalmia, meaning small eyes, is a developmental disorder of the eye, believed to be an autosomal recessive genetic condition. Primary glaucoma, increased pressure in the eye. Progressive retinal atrophy, progressive degeneration of the retina. Hip dysplasia, a skeletal condition where the head of the femur does not fit properly into the hip socket. Leads to osteoarthritis and pain. Elbow dysplasia, a skeletal condition in which the components of the elbow joint do not line up properly, leading to osteoarthritis and pain. Von Willebrand's disease, a genetic bleeding disorder caused by a deficiency in von Willebrand factor. Breed-specific conditions. There are two breed-specific conditions mentioned in veterinary literature: immune sensitivity to vaccines, drugs, insecticides, anesthetics and tranquilizers. Pseudo-hyperkalemia, a rise in the amount of potassium that occurs due to its excessive leakage from red blood cells when blood is drawn. This can give a false indication of hyperkalemia on lab tests, hence the prefix pseudo, meaning false. This occurs because many Eastern Asian breeds, including Akitas and Shiba Inus, have a higher level of potassium in their obeices than other dogs. Working life. Predecessors of the modern Akita were used for hunting bear, wild boar and deer in Japan as late as 1957. They would be used to flush out the bear and keep it at bay until the hunter could come and kill it. Today, the breed is used primarily as a companion dog. However, the breed is currently also known to be used as therapy dogs, and compete in all dog competitions including, conformation showing, obedience trials, canine good citizen program, tracking trials and agility competition, as well as weight pulling, hunting and suits hunt. See also, Ginga, Nagabushi Jin, Hidezabura Wano, Hachiko, A Dog Story, Hokkaido, Kaiken, Karafuto Ken, Kishu. Nihon Ken Hosenkai, Shiba Inu, Shikoku, Bibliography, footnotes. Sources. Further reading, Akita World. Bi-monthly Akita Magazine. Skablund, Aaron Herald. Empire of Dogs, Canines, Japan, and the Making of the Modern Imperial World. Ithaca, New York, Columbia University. ISBN A978-0-8014. 5025-9 ISBN 0801450255-X, external links, Akita at DMOZ.